Thanks for tuning into the market wrap today. I'm Niraj Shah and with me we Nickey, Mirchandani, and the markets. Quickly, let's get the markets up on the screen because it's an afternoon of recovery. You have to admit that that's how it's played out today. And from a bull's perspective, it's actually a rather good sign. A bit of a relief, if you will. We're down about a third of a percent, yes, but we were down much lower. And look at the list of gainers. It's essentially Reliance Industries, which has led the fight higher. So extremely good show put up by the big boy after the Silver Lake announcement. So 2.5% up for Reliance in the session today. Pharma had a good outing too. Sun, Reddy's, Cipla, mid-sized, a bunch of pharma names, including Shilpa, etc., did well. So that pocket did okay. Banks, though, sulking a bit, you have to admit. And I think now the correlation between flows, FI flows, and the bank Nifty performance is amply clear, isn't it? The last few days, we haven't had FI flows coming in. There have been outflows, and the bank Nifty doesn't do well. ICICI Bank down about 2%, SBI down, Axis Bank down about 3% too. So that entire bucket has looked wobbly, and Bajaj Finance too is corrected a bit. To the broad end of the spectrum, and while the breadth, I reckon, third day on a trot would not look pretty interesting. In fact, it would look weak. I would think that there would be select names which have actually gotten some pretty interesting gains. So the likes of IndiaMart, Dixon, etc., all of them corrected today. Some of the high-flying stocks did correct, but there were enough and more gains. So Escorts, 7.5%. The JP Morgan note that came out yesterday, probably seeing some effect today. Some specialty chemical names like Fine Organics did okay. Adani Gas, Adani Green back in the green. So those two did okay. And somewhere BSC too had some return to winning ways. And as I said, Pharma had an interesting afternoon. So Poly Medicure, Ipta Labs, Shilpa Medicare, all of them, Biocon did well. What didn't do well? Well, Astral Poly corrected a bit, about 5.5. There was some weakness in Jamnaut over the second day on a trot. And while Pharma did well in large, Jubilant Life didn't have a great day. So that one, after the poor set of numbers, down another 5%. But what has stood out in terms of stock-specific moves? Nickey Johnson to talk about those. Nickey, good afternoon, and what stood out today?
Surely it's Reliance Industries, solid session of gains coming for Reliance. First, you had the news where Silver Lake said it's going to be investing in 7,500 crore, which values the equity value of the entire retail venture at around 4.21 lakh crore. It translates into 1.75% equity stake for, Reliance Retail. Morgan Stanley said that with this kind of investment, the implied pre-money valuation stands at around $57 billion, which compares to a base case retail valuation of around $45 billion. So clearly, it's more than what the base case scenario was. The sale wasn't anticipated at this point of time, but it definitely reduces investors' concern on RIL's retail valuation. So definitely it adds to the base case. At least 6% to the NAV for RIL is what Morgan Stanley says, which at this point of time has an overweight rating on the counter. In what potential development is also, KKR is set to be in advanced talks for investing around $1 billion in Reliance Retail stake. So clearly we know that there is a beeline of investment coming in for Reliance Retail, just in case, like saw somewhat in the lines of Geo platform. Second on the list, of course, Astrazeneca Pharma India. Now, this is more of a sentiment impact coming in for the company. The second session of fall for this company plunged more than 12.5% in trade today. Parent company, of course, stopped giving shots of its experimental coronavirus vaccine that it was developing alongside Oxford University on account of some potential adverse reaction that could come in. After one of the experimental, a person participating in one of the company studies got sick. It's on account of that you saw a hit coming in on AstraZeneca Pharma. And third in the list, we have JSW Steel. JSW Steel, along with Tata Steel, captured some amount of gains. It registered it came out with August production numbers where crude production on month basis registered a 6% uptick there. YOY, we saw a 5% uptick there. In terms of average capacity utilization, the number inched up to 88% as compared to 83% that we saw in the corresponding in the month of July, rather. So month on month, you've seen the hike coming in terms of average capacity utilization levels. Sometime back, there were a few articles, reports suggesting that Tata Steel could, hike the HRC prices to an extent of 3,000 rupees per ton. Like that's huge. If that were to come in, you could clearly see the benefit of realization in terms of the upcoming quarter. But then we yet to see if that comes through. But the news are floating around where steel prices might just come through. SAIL has undertaken a price hike. We are yet to confirm if JSW Steel and Tata Steel also would follow suit. Last on the list, we have Spencer Retail now. If you look at the number on the face of it, looks like a weak set of numbers. Revenue down by 9%, net losses widened. The company has reported an EBITDA loss of 11 crore as compared to an EBITDA gain of nearly 22 crore in the corresponding quarter. But then the numbers were less worse than what the street was estimating. And of course, Nature Basket has also turned in positive. The EBITDA was positive in the first year of acquisition in itself. So that, of course, was again a positive coming in for the company. On account of that, you saw a sharp spike to an extent of 3.5% in trade, but then the stock closed higher to an extent of 2.5% in trade today. Back to you, Niraj.
Yep, thanks for that, Nicky. Well, that's the sum and substance of what moved and what didn't amongst the key movers as well. Keep in mind, pharma continues to gain, and you have to be mindful of that. Just a quick word on the global markets and what they are doing as we speak. Remember, the Nasdaq futures came back into the green, which is a good sign, and the European markets, as we speak, are trading in the green. So the going seems to be okay, and maybe just maybe these global cues might aid the Indian sentiment tomorrow morning. Let's wait and watch. But for now, it's a wrap on this speech of the market wrap from Nicky and me and the team that put this speech together. Thanks so much for watching.